This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Oh my gosh, you guys. If you have not seen Unknown Number, the High School Catfish, you are going to want to watch that. This is the most jaw-dropping series I have seen on Netflix. This is probably the best true crime movie I've ever seen. And it's real. It's true. It's a documentary. So I just want to say from the outset that everything I'm sharing is my opinion and that this video is for adults only. Viewer discretion is advised. When this all started, a lot of people were saying they thought that Lauryn was sending these text messages to herself and to Owen. And to Owen, this mother was sending really explicit, inappropriate messages because I think she was obsessed and had a thing for Owen. And if so, you know, she's getting this Munchausen's narcissistic supply, right? She's harassing her daughter. She's harassing Owen. And then she's getting the supply from Lauryn, where she's comforting Lauryn. Oh, poor Lauryn. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. You know, what bothered you the most? And then she's getting narcissistic supply because she's going into the school, talking to the superintendent and the principal. And, this is happening to my daughter. This is so awful. Getting lots of narcissistic supply for them. And then getting narcissistic supply probably from Owen's mother, who's, relating with her because it's happening to both of their kids. So we learned toward the end of the documentary that the perpetrator in all of this, the one who's been doing all of the body shaming, the one who's been telling Lauryn that she should do away with herself, the one that's been saying really like egregious and inappropriate things to Owen, is Lauryn's own mother. She's the one sending the text. It's coming from inside the house, you guys. And they were like 14 while she's doing this, 15. They're adults now. They just graduated from high school. So what were the mother's motivations behind all this? Well, I don't think it was just one single motivation. I think this mother, let me put her up, had several motivations. I think one was that she was very, very jealous of her daughter. I think she was very, very jealous of her daughter. Lauryn is beautiful. She had a steady boyfriend. I think she was also jealous of her daughter's relationship with Owen. The second motive I think this mother had was that she had a crush on Owen. She had a thing for Owen, which is extremely inappropriate considering he was in 8th grade when all of this started, 9th grade. And that's when all of this begins. So it's really, really horrifying. And I'm not going to go into any of the text messages. You will have to watch Netflix for that. It's just too gross. Her third motive, in my opinion, is the attention that comes with a common perpetrator who normally, like in Gypsy Rose's case, her mother, who has, allegedly had Munchausen's by proxy, was physically doing harm to Gypsy, right? But in this case, she was mentally doing harm to Lauryn. So it's a cyber Munchausen's by proxy. She was telling Lauryn, she was putting her down in every way possible. She didn't deserve to be with Owen, making fun of the way that she looked. I mean, for 2 years, in 30 to 60 text messages a day, she is body shaming and hating on her daughter. And so as awful as this is, and the fourth motive, in my opinion, is that she would have gotten a lot of attention for herself because her daughter was the one getting these messages. Her daughter was the victim. And so by extension, she was, the victim. And she would have been able to talk to Owen's mom to talk about these text messages. She was able to go to the superintendent to get updates regularly. She was going to go to the principal. She was complaining that they weren't doing enough. They weren't doing enough to protect her daughter. She's the perpetrator. I mean, she's bonkers. So those are the four biggest motives, in my opinion. Just watch your words so you don't get stuck in the YouTube filter, but let me know if you have a different opinion on what the motive is. And just watch your comments, because if you say words that I'm not saying, you could get stuck in the YouTube algorithm filter, and then I don't get to see your comments. So the other victim in all of this was Owen's cousin, Adriana. She was also falsely blamed, but not set up as badly as Chloe was. Once I saw Adriana, because that's who I first thought it was going to be, was I was going to be Adriana. But once I saw her body cam footage where law enforcement's interviewing her, I knew it wasn't her. And you don't find out right away who the perpetrator is when you're watching this. But even if, I've given, I've spoiled it a little bit. If you haven't seen it, it's still worth watching. So I really feel heartbroken for the victims, especially Lauryn, because when Lauryn finally it gets revealed who the perpetrator is, they go to the house and it's just Lauryn at home alone with her mother. This awful excuse for a mother. And she is home alone. And as soon as they talk to the mother, and the mother basically admits it. And then she gives them one phone. She doesn't tell them that she has a second phone, which she has outside around the corner. I don't know if it was hidden out there, but when the husband finds out, he comes home, he tells law enforcement, "Oh, did you get the other phone?" They're like, "What other phone?" And then they got the other phone. But she immediately, when they tell Lauryn what she's doing, she immediately starts holding Lauryn and crying like somehow this woman is the victim. And people, I think this is why people think that Lauryn might have known something, but I don't think so. I think Lauryn was just so in shock. How do you process that your own mother would do something like this? And that's where profiler Pat Brown told Lauryn, because Lauryn's still thinking, still loves her mother. Of course, Lauryn's not a sociopath, but this woman is a sociopath. This is according to criminal profiler Pat Brown. She believes that this woman is a sociopath. So she's not a mental health professional, but that's her belief as a professional. And she, said that you're not capable, that this woman is not capable of loving you. That's what she told Lauryn. She basically made her video for Lauryn. So I think the body cam footage, I think the way that he told Lauryn was kind of confusing. The way the police officer told Lauryn, it wasn't really explicit, like your mother's the one that's been sending you these text messages. So I just don't think Lauryn was taking it all in. And I think even if you had, I think a lot of people might have cried or had a big reaction, but a lot of people will just freeze like a deer in headlights. And that's kind of what we saw with Lauryn. So the next thing is the law enforcement tells Lauryn in the presence of her mom and her dad's not even home. I think they should have had a mental health counselor with Lauryn. I think that they should have waited for the father to come home and told Lauryn and the father separately from the mother, because she is all over Lauryn, crying. And of course, the mother's the victim. I just love you so much. I love you so much. She doesn't love you, Lauryn. And if you guys are out there, there's maybe you guys are, could relate to this, because maybe you've had somebody like this. Maybe you've had a relationship with a sociopath. It could be a parent, a boss. It could be a spouse, a significant other. Maybe you've had a relationship with a sociopath. But she immediately hooks Lauryn back in with all the love bombing and holding her and basically trying to flip the script that she, the mother, is the victim in all of this. But she does participate in the documentary, and the director said, Skye Borgman, said that that she did participate, that they didn't know they were going to get an interview with Kendra. That's her name, Kendra, until the very, very end. I'm purposely not using her name. I'm just calling her the mother, because that's how I just feel that way about her. So number 12, I don't think it's really fair to blame Lauryn for not reacting enough. I mean, what would you think if you found out the perpetrator, who's been sending you text messages, 30 to 60 messages a day, putting you down, disparaging you, telling you don't deserve to have Owen, you don't deserve to exist, you don't, finding out that this person is your mother that's doing it. And I'm sure her first instinct, because grieving goes through stages, is denial. And I don't know what to call it, this enmeshment between Lauryn and her mother. Some people have used the word Stockholm syndrome. But her mother, basically was a perpetrator. And Owen at least could go to his own mother and father to get comfort, to recover from this woman. But Lauryn didn't have that. Lauryn did not have that. So it's next level Machiavellian. It's next level manipulation, in my opinion, what she did to her daughter. So let's continue on. 13, we're going to talk about law enforcement. I just don't think they had the resources to catch Lauryn's mom. So they end up giving all of the information over to, they get the FBI involved. It turns out, we find out at the end that Lauren's mother had a background in IT, and she was pretending, this woman was pretending she had a job. She was pretending she was going to work. Turns out she had been fired, but she was using her experience as an IT expert to mask her phone number and to mask her IP address. So every time Lauryn or Owen would try to block the number, she would just come back with a different phone number. But the FBI did ultimately reveal who she was and turned it back over to local law enforcement to handle it. Number 14, the mother's name is Kendra Licari. I purposely am not really naming her. I just refer to her as a mother because, again, she gets off on all the attention that she's getting, and I don't want to give her any more attention. And I just want to give a shout out to the director, Skye Borgman. She did a great job with this documentary. She even gets Kendra to come on camera and talk to her. 15, the mother has lots of excuses, but doesn't really take any accountability for what she did to Lauryn, what she did to Owen, what she did to Adriana, and what she did to Chloe. She talks about because she was essayed at 17, and she claims, and I don't believe her, that she started the text messages, that she didn't start the text messages, somebody else did. She is lied and lied. I don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth. I think she is a liar. And that's the nicest thing I could say about Kendra. So I don't think anyone who's like critically thinking believes that someone else started these text messages and that she just jumped in there. I think there was one perpetrator and only one perpetrator, and I think it was this woman right here. This is your perpetrator, the one and only. And I think one of the most diabolical things is that the mother literally did set up Chloe to take the fall for this. She used the fact that she knew Chloe was going on vacation to Florida. And again, this is a small town. There's only 30 kids, and Chloe was on the basketball team with Lauryn. So she would have known, that this child was going on vacation with her parents. They're adults now, but she, would have given you a sense of just how small it is. So she was able to show phone numbers from Florida while Chloe was in Florida. So it made it really look convincing that it was Chloe. Skye Borgman, the director, spoke out. She said that she didn't think that the mother, the perpetrator, was aware of what a big deal this really was. She says she talks about this this mother wanting to prolong her mother-daughter relationship as long as she could. And I do think that driving a wedge between Lauryn and Owen was part of her motivation, but I don't think it's because she loved Lauryn so much. Oh no. I think her motivation is because she was obsessed with Owen. And if she could get Lauryn out of the way, she would have been able to have a funeral and gotten all the attention from that. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. That's what Pat Brown said yesterday too. She said that to not believe this woman when she says she was doing this because she didn't want her daughter to grow away from her. She said, no, no, no. She wanted her daughter out of the way. She was trying to get her daughter to do away with herself. That was the motivation behind this. Then Owen, and this is evidenced by the fact that Owen tries to move on. He and Lauryn break up because I don't know an adult couple that would survive something like this, let alone, high schoolers, 9th graders, 10th graders. But he attempts to move on with a relationship with another girl in a completely different town. And her mother, the mother of this young girl in a different town, starts getting text messages from Kendra, the perpetrator, trying to break them up. And Oren just says he doesn't feel like he can move on. So the whole idea that Kendra, the narrative that she's putting out, she wanted to be close to her daughter. No, I think she got off on mentally hurting her daughter. I think she enjoyed that and enjoyed all the attention her daughter gave her because her daughter needed her. I think she enjoyed that. But I think it would have been the best case scenario for her, from just thinking about how diabolical, thinking about it from her point of view, is that if Lauryn would have actually, not been there anymore, and then she would have gotten all the supply from she would have thrown Lauryn, a wonderful funeral, would have gotten all kinds of narcissistic supply, maybe had a GoFundMe. And then she would have, had Owen to herself. Because I think she has thing for this boyfriend. So some of the biggest gaslighting I saw from the mother was her trying to claim in the documentary that she was trying to protect Lauryn from all these big bad things in the world. But what she did to Lauryn is absolutely horrifying. She literally terrorized her own child. And the fact that, Lauryn had to endure this at the hands of her mother, and the fact that Lauryn is still trying to have a relationship with this woman is really scary. I'm scared for Lauryn. And that's what kind of hurt my heart when I saw Chloe coming out, still kind of throwing shade at Lauryn. I feel like Lauryn has enough to deal with. If you have any empathy in your heart, this girl needs our empathy. Owen does too. Chloe's a victim too. And the director describes the mother as telling a little bit of the truth with a little bit of lies. And she felt like the lines on all of this were blurred. And I agree. I think the mother did try to blur the lines because, of course, the mother doesn't want to say how bad it was. Next, the mother was incarcerated. She pled guilty to 2 counts of stalking a minor. She was sentenced to 19 months to 5 years in prison. Of course, she didn't even serve the 19 months. She served a little over a year, maybe a year and a half, but not enough time considering what she did. She terrorized Owen and Lauryn for 2 years. She doesn't even have to serve that in jail. And then there's this pause in the text messages for about 11 months, and then they resumed. And I would love to know what was going on in that 11-month period between when the text messages started and then there was this break, and then the text messages resumed. What was going on in Kendra's life? Did she get a job? Because we know she got fired from her job. We don't know why, but we know she got fired from her job. So did she get a job? Was she working and couldn't send this? And that was the other thing that was really diabolical. She seemed like she had an alibi during all of this. She couldn't have been the one sending the text messages because she was at work. And then we find out from the father that, and then the law enforcement, she wasn't at work. She got fired. He didn't know either. But it provides an interview to Netflix about it. So if you think about it from Lauryn's point of view, she would have been telling her mom all of the upsetting things about these text messages. It would have given her mom even more ammunition to target Lauryn. And so I think it's really understandable why Lauryn would have such a tough time being able to flip a switch. Lauryn spent 2 years looking around at her high school classmates because even law enforcement thought this was a high school person, because what adult would do this? This is definitely, not the normal. And she was probably so beaten down mentally and emotionally and not knowing who to trust in her high school class. And then to find out that the person that's, her biggest support system is the one that's terrorizing her, cyber stalking her, is her own mother. And at least Owen could get comfort from his mom, who actually seems very empathetic and compassionate, seems very supportive of Owen. Lauryn did not have that. She wasn't able to turn to her mother once the perpetrator was exposed, because the perpetrator was her mother. So I hope, Lauryn, if you're watching this, I hope you get counseling. You need to go to counseling, and you need to stay far, far away from your mother, Kendra. So if you're watching, please get counseling. Because otherwise you could pick another person, another partner, because somebody like your mother isn't going to set off red flags for you. Not only is it not going to set off red flags for you, but it's going to feel comfortable and familiar, because it's you. So you could end up repeating this pattern that you've had with this relationship with your mother, which is not your fault. That was imposed on you by your mother. You could end up repeating this pattern in future relationships, friendships, and relationships if you don't get help now. So the idea that a mother would do this to her own child is just diabolical, and it's one of the most evil things I've ever seen. I can't recommend this documentary enough. So besides seeing that Lauryn was struggling to move forward away from her relationship, and hopefully she is continuing to work on this, and I don't think it's going to happen fast. I think Lauryn's going to have to work really hard, because I think what her mother has done to her, with jealousy and the passive aggressive and the aggressive and controlling behavior, the mother is absolutely diabolical. She is disturbing. And at the end of the documentary, I think we're all hoping, that maybe more classmates will come forward in support of Lauryn, that more people in this town will come forward and support Lauryn and just try to understand what this would have felt like to be looking around at all your classmates and to have people wondering if you were sending these to yourself. But even Owen says he doesn't think he'll ever speak to Lauryn again. And I think that's really sad. And I wondered why that was. Because I don't, maybe because she couldn't break away from her mother fast enough and she continued to write her mom in jail and continued to speak to her mom on Mondays and Wednesdays when her mom was allowed to talk to her on the phone. And I don't understand why a no contact order wasn't put in place by the judge on this case either. I mean, normally they would not be allowed to contact their victims, and this mother was victimizing Lauryn. So the fact that she was allowed to continue to put her hooks into Lauryn, and she's love bombing her in these letters that Netflix shows you. I love you. You're the best. You're amazing. Just all these, just love bombing her, of course. So it feels like Owen is getting the support he needs. He has a compassionate mom and dad who love him unconditionally, but Lauryn does not have that. She has a dad that loves her, but she doesn't have a mom that loves her. And Lauryn, if you're watching this, your mom doesn't love you. She doesn't love anybody. She's a sociopath. She's a sociopath, and you deserve better. So I don't think Lauryn is going to be able to recover without some counseling. And I want to give so much credit to the director, Skye Borgman, and her team for bringing the story to Netflix. She did a really compassionate and empathetic job of telling the story. She was able to get Kendra, Lauryn's mom, on camera to tell her side, which I think is an amazing feat in and of itself. I do think that this mother would have felt compelled to come forward to Netflix because of the attention. I think, any attention is good attention to this mother. The other thing I would love to speak to Skye Borgman about this. I was wondering if she knew anything about that 11-month break. If I could ask Skye one question, it would be this. Why was there a break in those text messages? Was this related to COVID? Were they at home homeschooling from the house and they weren't at school? So the mother couldn't get, start this, or, what was going on during the 11 months? Did the mother get a job? I just would like to know why there was this 11-month gap. The other thing the documentary does is it opens up a really important discussion about how young is too young to have a cell phone, how young is too young to be on social media. We don't let kids drive cars till they're 16. These were 13, 14, 15-year-old. So at what age do we let them use cell phones? I know they want to have their friends, and, during the pandemic, it would have been really important to be able to talk to friends. But I do really look forward to seeing what Netflix and this director does next, because this was so well done, you guys. I'm curious to get your input on this. Let me just see what you guys think about this. What do you guys think? Cheryl says, hold on, let me grab a sip of water. Cheryl says, I believe she still has contact via text with her daughter. She may still be using her. Yeah, she's not going to let her daughter go that easily. She's got her hooks into her. Her daughter's going to have to work hard to get away. Jen just says she needs to be in a mental health facility. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, in the United States, we don't really do that much. As far as like supporting, unfortunately, I agree. Then the mother just needs to be should have not have been allowed to have contact with Lauryn at all. Because I think you're right, Cheryl. I think she's still using her. Thank you for modding today, Susan and Jazz. Teresa's like, I don't see the chat on my TV. No, you have to look at it on your phone or computer or laptop. It doesn't show up on the TV. And Jess says, I love Pat Brown. She's wonderful, so down to earth. Yeah, she did a great job of taking this mother apart last night and really speaking to Lauryn. Really speaking to Lauryn, who, I feel sorry for all of the victims. I feel sorry for Adriana, who was Owen's cousin, because she was blamed. I feel sorry for Chloe because she was absolutely framed. And maybe Chloe feels angry, and maybe Owen feel angry because the mother did frame Chloe, and Lauryn's still having and they're young. They're not. They're just out of high school. They're in between high school and college, so they're young. They're probably getting ready to go to college now. And maybe they don't understand from Lauryn's point of view that this girl didn't have, the only support she had was her father. And I think there was a lot of enmeshment in between with Lauryn and her mother. I think it was a very dysfunctional relationship. I think it was really disturbing. I want to thank NJAS so much for gifting, oh my gosh, 5 reporter room memberships. You guys, if you got one of those memberships, please make sure you say thank you to NJAS. That is so nice of you. I want to see what you guys have to say about this. If you're watching, come on up and talk to me. We have a really small group here. I suspect that this probably is being demonetized. Oh, you're fine, Teresa. Well, Susan says you're sweet and she appreciates you. Yeah, so twisted. It is. And I don't know if is this available in the UK? Does anybody know? If you're watching from another country, if not, I think anybody who has Netflix should be able to watch it. Cheryl said, I really felt for the husband also. She had lied so much to him. At the end, he lost so much. Yeah, he lost. They had moved 4 times. We find out they had moved 4 times. This is the husband here. This is Kendra's husband, the father of Lauryn. They had moved 4 times. And they had even put their stuff in storage because this mother was supposed to be handling their finances. Lovey Ball says this case is so just deeply disturbing. It really is. It really is. It's definitely worth watching. Thank you so much, Teresa. I am not a psychologist, but I have taken some psychology classes. And I'm not a licensed professional, though. I just want to share that. Lovey Ball said the other side of this, aside from her infatuation, so she's talking about the mother's infatuation with Owen. With who do you think she would have wanted to collect insurance money? Remember, her husband thought she was working. Right. And we found, oh, this is such an interesting take on it. Yeah, we find out from a cousin of the mother, Kendra's cousin, speaks out and talks about how Kendra was always seeking attention, always wanting attention for herself. But she also talks about filing these insurance claims in a rental house that they were in. So yeah, that's another great point of why Pat Brown said she thought that this mother absolutely wanted Lauryn to no longer exist. I'm watching my words here. So she definitely would have, maybe she did have life insurance on Lauryn. Yeah. Thank you for watching your words on that. So I got to share your comment. Thank you for modding today, Holly and Susan. Holly says she's a psychological nightmare of a mother. Teresa said, I can see it on my TV when I typed back. No one was chatting from it. Oh yeah, it's a smaller group. I have a sneaky suspicion. Let me look that this probably got demonetized. I thought it probably would. So if you want to help me out by subscribing, give a thumbs up. Both are free. No, it's still monetized. So I don't know. It's just maybe just boosted. They maybe are going to check it when I come off the air. Just make sure I haven't done anything inappropriate. Or said anything inappropriate, or I think some people were sharing those text messages, which was probably part of the problem. Lovey says, that's my thought. I think she was infatuated with Owen, but then shifts her harassing Lauryn. Yeah, because I would have given her, the mother says that she didn't want Lauryn to do anything. She knew Lauryn. She says she claims that Lauryn was strong, and she knew Lauryn was strong enough and would never do anything like that. You don't ever know that somebody's never going to do something like that. You don't ever know what somebody's going to do. But the fact that she did this is just really, really disturbing. This mother is disturbing, but it's definitely worth watching. I think it's very well done. I, give a lot of props to the director. If we had gotten a few more people to come in and view this, I would love to have the director on. I do want to thank our producers, NJazz, Sasha Angel, George Brown, Michael L. Cole, and Christy Ballantyne. And thank you to our channel members. Subscribing is free. Channel membership does cost a few dollars, but if you would like your name to appear like this during my live streams, this is probably the smallest live stream I've ever had. I think my channel member live streams get more people in than we have on this one, which is why I suspect I'm being deboosted. I don't know for sure, but I suspect, because I have almost 200 channel members. So the idea that only 24 people are here tells me that nobody knows that this is happening, which is too bad because it's a really good story, and I'm telling it in the most G-rated version possible while still, covering it. And I do think diving into the psychology behind the mother is really, really important. And I just don't believe for 1 second that this mother did not wish harm on her daughter. I think she absolutely did. And so I want to do super thanks and coffee gratitude for our last 2 live streams. The last one I went live because it was breaking news. I found the judge's information, so I hopped on and just did that. But I did want to say thank you. So I am just really curious what you guys all think. Cheryl thinks she got a real thrill from manipulating everybody. I think so too. So if you're watching and you got to the end, please let me know by telling me you watched to the end. I do look forward to seeing what this director, her name is Skye Borgman, does next. If you would like me to continue covering this case, I would love to continue doing updates on this. This is probably one of the craziest cases I've ever seen or done. If you would like me to do other Netflix shows, I did the Gabby Petito Netflix documentary. If you have some other ones that you would like me to cover, drop it in the comment section below. I would be glad to cover those as well. And I just want to thank you so much for coming by to spend a little bit of time with me. Subscribing is free. And I will see you next